How's it going? And I hope you're all doing well. Today's video, or tonight's video should I say, is going to be a wee bit different from what I normally do. Tonight I'm going to go and do a bit of astrophotography. Now over the years I've done a fair bit of astrophotography, but I've never actually done a video on it, and the reason for that is because I thought, well, it's dark, so what's the point if you're not going to see anything? Which is fair enough. But tonight, things like the Milky Way core are not going to be in view because we're in the northern hemisphere and we're shooting in the middle of the winter. So instead we are going to capture, or try and capture, two deep sky objects. So the first one is the Orion Nebula, and the second one is going to be the star cluster Pleiades. Done a bit of deep sky photography before, got an okay result, but I'm going to give it another go tonight and hopefully we get something decent. So I'm going to head up to my location, which I'll speak to you about in a minute, and start getting set up and see what we can get. Okay, so I've just arrived at the Clyde wind farm. The reason I'm up here is because realistically it's the darkest sky in my local area. It's probably about Bortle 4. Compared to places up north in Scotland and the Dark Sky Park, which it doesn't compete at all, but it's the darkest sky I have within my local area, so that's why I'm here. I should mention that none of these images are going to be taken with a star tracker. For those who don't know what a star tracker is, it's a mount that you set your camera on and it turns at the same rotation of the Earth, allowing you to get longer exposures when you're shooting things in the night sky like the Milky Way or the Orion Nebula, etc. So the first thing I'm going to do is get out here, going to locate it, get everything set up, and then we can start shooting. So we'll get that done first. So we have got the camera and the tripod set up. I am shooting with the 70 to 200 lens at f4, and first of all I've got to get this focused. So the first thing I'm going to do is focus in right on this, which is the brightest star in the sky at the moment, which is Sirius. So what I'm going to do is get Sirius in the centre of the screen, zoom it into ×10, and then if you can see here, what I'm going to do is just turn this just until it's like a perfect small circle, which is probably around about there. That's probably about perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is set my exposure time. Okay, so step 2 is to sort your settings. So in this lens, the lowest possible aperture that I can use, which will allow the most amount of light in, is going to be f4. I'm then going to set an ISO of 6400, and using the rule of 500, my shutter speed is going to be 1 second. And the reason it's 1 second is because that's the maximum shutter speed that I can use that will keep the stars pin sharp. After that, it's then up to taking a few test shots and trying to locate the Orion Nebula. Here's how to find it. The Orion Nebula is more formally known as M42, and it lies 1,344 light years away from Earth. It can be found in the constellation Orion, just below one of the most well-known sights in the night sky, which is Orion's belt. The best way to locate the nebula is by finding Orion's belt, focusing on the middle star in the belt, and gradually moving your eyes down in a straight line. The nebula is visible to the naked eye, and it looks like a small cluster of hazy stars. Okay, so assuming that you've found the Orion Nebula, you've got your settings right, and you've got your focus right, it's now time to start shooting. So what I normally do is I normally take 20 exposures, and I reposition the nebula back into the centre of the screen, take another 20, and so on. For the nebula, I think I'm going to do 60 frames, and then I can stack them later on. So we'll get these frames taken, and hopefully we've got a decent final image. Okay, so I have found the Orion Nebula, all my settings are sorted, intervalometer's ready to go. So all I'm going to do now is hit the shutter, let it do its thing, and while it's doing that, I'm going to get back in the car and sit warm. Okay, so that actually turned out really well, a lot better than first anticipated, and it's actually a lot better than my first attempt last year, so I'm really quite happy with that. So the next thing I'm going to give a go is the star cluster called Pleiades, and I'm not going to move any of my settings is the same, my focus is the same because it's still focused on the faraway stars. All I'm going to do is try and locate it and then start shooting. For this, I think I'm going to take about 100 images. Here's how to find it.
The Pleiades are a group of more than 800 stars located roughly about 410 light years from Earth and can be found in the constellation of Taurus. It's another familiar sight in the night sky and looks like a smaller but hazier version of the Big Dipper. I find it easiest to locate Pleiades by focusing on Orion's belt and drawing an imaginary line following the belt from the furthest right hand star until you come to Pleiades. Just remember to look out for what looks like a smaller version of the Big Dipper.
Okay, so Pleiades has now been located, and I am currently just shooting through about 100 images and see how we turn out. And as before, I'll jump back in the car to keep one. Okay, so I'm actually really happy with how both images turned out. The image of the Orion Nebula is definitely better than the last time I took it, and it was my first attempt ever trying to do Pleiades, so I was pretty happy with that result as well. I'm in no way, shape or form an expert in astrophotography, I just enjoy it. I enjoy all things to do with space and the universe. I understand that this video might be quite boring for people because, look, you can't see anything, but I just thought it would be good to do the process and video it as something I wouldn't normally do. I will be putting up a video shortly on how I edited and processed both the images, so if you do want to see that, then please subscribe, hit the notifications as well so you know when it's been uploaded, and if you enjoyed the video tonight as well, then please just give it a wee like. But now I'm going to head home, I'm going to grab myself a hot chocolate, so thanks very much everybody for watching, take care, and I'll see you again next time.